bet. You just finished coaching?
Yeah, and I coach in a few hours too.
So CrossFit Buckhead, that's in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Buckhead still a thing?
It's still a thing. We're still kicking.
No, I meant like Buckhead, not your gym. I just remember like when I was in college, I remember that was like the place to go. Buckhead. Whenever I don't know, you're kind of younger than I am, but when Freaknik was going on.
Oh, I've
And
only
what?
lived in Atlanta for 5 years, so I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Dang,
Well,
Amanda, did you see the thumbnail that PC found to put on this picture? It's a good picture of you.
No. What's that from? Oh, that's from Crash last year, 2 years ago. That's from Crash 2023.
Great picture.
yeah.
After I won the thruster ladder event. That is a good picture.
Good finds, PC.
Hey, it's all Amanda's Instagram. She puts up great stuff. Yeah. So those who aren't following Amanda, they should. I just really like your content. It's a really good balance of just like your life, you as a coach, you as an athlete. It's just really balanced. It's like some athletes you'll look at it's just like it's all ads, and it almost looks like it's forced. With you have a good balance of all of that because you do have
Thank you
sponsor
so much.
No, I mean it's true. I mean if you aren't following Amanda, which is she doesn't have her ad on there, but I believe it's Amanda_thighs, right?
Amanda_thighs. That's right.
Yeah. So can you explain the that name thighs, or I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, but pretty much I had some friends in the past that before they knew who I was or like my name, they just referred to me as thighs in the gym. And then we became friends and they told me that. And so then they found out my first name and we exchanged numbers and they put me in their phone as Amanda Thighs. And so then that's where it came from. So
did that new girl come into the gym again? Who? Do you mean thighs? Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone knows who they're talking about. So
well, it's been cool this past, I don't know, 8-9 months since you and I last really hung out when I came down there for the Wild preseason camp to see, all the kind of different stuff that you've been up to. You've gotten some exposure through the grid stuff. Jason's kind of leaned into that a little bit. The barbell spin guys have been giving a little bit more attention to grid. And I mean, it was really, for me, it was kind of weird because I saw you guys in the preseason when you were just kind of getting to know each other, just getting to meet the new members of the team. You guys were speculating like we should be good. We don't know how good. We don't know how good the Aces team will be, whatever. And, 8 months later or something like that, you guys are the champs.
Yeah, crazy.
And it seemed like, I think in particular, a couple of the women that you guys added to the team made a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. The women's side of the Wild historically is like kind of I shouldn't say it like that, but just like the women's side's always like had one or two like really, really great women, and then just the support, like there wasn't a ton of support. And so this year, I mean, we got Sydney Wilson, Vilma Rosario, I mean, Carrie Billington. There's so many. Our women's side was so much stronger this year. And that's what really allowed us to, like, our men's side, literally nobody can compete with them. So we had to try to keep up with the boys, and it definitely made us all better. So that was cool.
In the, like, going back historically with the CrossFit Games, it's always been like, if you have strong women on your team, you're going to be in the mix. Do you think that it's kind of that way with Grid League as well?
I do a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think with Grid League, you definitely need it on both sides. But there does seem to be a lot more like well-rounded guys. Then you can, like, women, it seems like you're either like a strength or a body weight, and like more really great utility women are getting into the league. And I think that's what, I mean, there's so many badass women in the league at this point. But yeah, I think more like well-rounded utility women, more you have of those, the stronger your team's going to be.
I mean, the off season for Grid League, it seems like it's gaining a little bit momentum back, and there, like you said, there are some other maybe more well-rounded athletes that are entering into the league this year. How many new teams are there? Are there one or two new teams this year also?
I think they've announced the Bandits. I haven't seen a second one, but I feel like they've like alluded to another one. But the Bandits are in Texas, and then, well, guys know barbell spin, John Young. But yeah, I think they've alluded to another one, but I haven't seen an announcement, but I could just be behind. Sorry, there's a train going by.
That's all right. We don't mind. Is this a new team? I don't even know.
The Venom?
Said 3 hours ago, Las Vegas Venom.
Well, I guess, okay, so the Venom relocated, it sounds like. Yeah, so kind of this past year, we relocated from Gainesville to Atlanta, and so it looks like the Venom relocated. The Venom's been a team, but they were the South Beach Venom, something like that. So now they're
Daytona Beach.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, the league, like it was like national, then it condensed to Florida, and it seems like it's spreading out a bit again now. And I'm not like consistently keeping up with all the updates, but I think we talked about it yesterday. Dana Pran signed on with the Sharks. She's a pretty well accomplished female athlete in the CrossFit space, and it looks like Alex Smith is doing Grid this year also.
Oh, is he staying on the Venom?
I'm not sure what team he's on, but I think he put something up the other day that made me think that he was going to do it. I mean, when you can throw out a specialist in body weight stuff and Alex Smith is an option, it seems like it's a pretty good option.
Yeah, he's exactly what you want in a bodyweight specialist.
So anyway, that's just some fun Grid stuff. And if you guys are following along, that may be some of the places that you've seen. Amanda, you also just were down in Miami. Where I didn't even see you. I mean, I saw you competing, but didn't get a chance to talk at all. But how was the Wadapalooza experience this year for you?
It was good. It was actually my first time competing at Wadapalooza. I'd never done the qualifiers or anything before, and then Brooke and Maddie were like, "Hey, you want to do Wadapalooza with us?" And I'm like, "Why the heck not?" So I don't have anything to compare it to in previous years, but I love to compete and it was a lot of fun. That's the first time the three of us were competing together. The workouts were cool. The sandbox sucked. But
I had a front row. I had a front row seat watching you 55 power cleans. So.
Oh, I love that workout.
Oh yeah, I think you were the only athlete, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, that I know that did all the power cleans.
Amanda, is his audio coming in weird for you?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me? Sorry, my AirPods.
No, you sound good, Patrick. There's something weird about the way the audio is coming through.
Okay.
It's like a little spotty, and there's like a high pitch sound. I'm not sure, but Amanda, some of the team workouts this year, the design allowed teams to really lean into their strengths. And I think what Patrick was about to ask me is if there were any other, of course he left, so that will leave. He was going to ask me if there's any other athletes who did all of the power cleans. I don't know, but is that what you ended up doing?
I did all 55 power cleans. Yeah, I did.
Did it even get challenging by the end for you?
Like yes and no. It was more just like, I mean, I wasn't going to fail a rep by any means. Like there was no fear of that. It was more just like my posterior chain, like my legs were starting to get pretty tired, but I was still going to move it faster than either one of my teammates trying to jump in. So it was just like they split the rope climbs. Sorry.
That's all right. You can keep talking.
Okay, I just don't know if you can hear me. They split the rope climbs, and I just, that bottom left is exactly how I felt after that workout. They're like pushing me across the finish line because my legs were like Bambi legs, but that was fun. That was probably my favorite workout, just because I just got to move the barbell and jump over a box the whole time.
And now I know you said the sandbox sucked, but was there any part of it that was like fun or cool to do workouts in a different venue like that?
Sure. I mean, like all athletes, we like, oh, that sucked, but we like also loved it. Like, yeah, totally. This is really freaking hard workouts, like that one workout, no pro female team finished. The only team to finish, I think, was Justin Madero's team in the elite division. So it sucked in the way that the workouts were just really hard, but they were really fun though at the same time. I've never said that gymnastics was a rest in a workout before until that bar muscle up workout. I was like, let me do more bar muscle ups. Don't make me carry this stuff anymore.
Yeah, that was, I mean, they looked challenging but fun, I think is a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
And then obviously there were a couple workouts with the worm. Have you ever done worm workouts before?
Oh yeah, I competed teams for 2 years before I started competing individually. So I've done a lot of team stuff.
You've
Or
done
a lot of worm stuff.
When you did that, was it 4-person teams or 6-person teams?
4.
And you've also done 2-person teams at Fittest to the Coast, which we'll talk
Yes, I
about here
have.
in a minute. And they've had 2-person worms there also.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes, I've been all the worms.
I was just looking at that picture there, the previous one with the worm in it. And it looks like they just decided you could handle half of the weight.
What can I say? My strength is strength.
Like, guys, this feels a little heavy. Like, yeah, we were here. You got it. The thing I really wanted to ask, I'm kind of curious about this. Do you think that there's any place for a worm in Grid League?
I think Grid League has used worms in the past.
Okay.
Yes. Patrick, my boyfriend Pat, he was sorry, yeah, not you, PC.
Let's say
my boyfriend Patrick, not you.
The one that matters.
Yeah. Wait, who can snatch like 300 plus pounds?
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, 308. He's strong. He's strong boy. He played his first or second year in Grid. They did worm lunges down the length of the grid. Three person worm.
Yeah, and you know what I kind of like, sometimes I talk about this in the realm of CrossFit as well, is something like that doesn't have to be in every match. It doesn't have to even be in every season, but if it's been 2, 3, 4 years, I think that it would be great to bring it back. Like, it makes sense.
A 3-person worm in like a triad, that would actually be low key sick.
Okay, Mather, you heard it here first. If he's listening.
do some clean and jerks or thrusters or something like that. Actually be really cool, I think.
Thruster, I can't remember how the triads work, but would there be an opportunity to like lunge it to another quadrant on the grid?
Absolutely. That's what they did in the past. I don't know if they did anything other than worm lunges, but I know they've done worm lunges.
But they could do like thruster, lunge it forward, clean and jerk, lunge it forward, squats, lunge it to the finish.
Yeah,
something
move
like that.
Down the quad. Oh, that'd be so gross. I love it.
Anyway, this is kind of just an intro here. Amanda's a fun person. Patrick and I both know her, but we're actually meant today to be previewing Fittest to the Coast. I believe this is the 6th version of Fittest to the Coast, or 6th edition. How many have you participated in, counting this one? Last year was your first year.
Oh, balloons. Yes, last year was my first year.
Was there a particular reason that you decided to do it last year?
We had some athletes do it the year before, some blacklisted athletes, and I think did Kyle go to it? I can't remember, but they really, really liked the event. And like I had been doing TFX. That was kind of my January competition. The couple years before I did Fittest to the Coast last year, and just looking for something different. And so a bunch of us just decided to do the qualifiers for FOTC. FOTC, as we like to call it.
Oh. And now you got this and Wadapalooza in January's now.
Yes, 2 weeks apart. My body I don't think my body's really happy with me, but it'll get over it.
Well, there have been a lot of athletes doing a lot of competitions.
Mm-hmm.
I like just a kind of a random one, but like Jonakowski was in Miami competing, And the next week he was back in Finland doing a teams competition there. And there's a bunch of athletes that are couple that competed in both Wadapalooza and TFX, some that did Wadapalooza that are also doing Fittest of the Coast, some that did Wadapalooza that are also going to Spain this upcoming weekend for Pixel Showdown. A bunch of athletes obviously went over to High Rocks for Vegas. And I mean, I'm not 100% sure, and we'll see how everything plays out, but it feels like there's just been this like increased interest almost by the athlete pool to do kind of competitions that they are more competitions than they may have done in the past, because they're probably not going to do the game season this year.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but it keeps us on our toes in terms of trying to keep track of what everyone's doing. And I would say that year one of Fittest of the Coast for you was quite a successful year.
I would think I'd agree with you there, Brian.
He's so good. He's such a good analyst.
I want to get this perspective from you though, because I got it from my own personal point of view. So first of all, for people who don't know, Fittest of the Coast allows a 3-day competition where athletes can compete in 2 different divisions. They can compete individually, obviously in the men's or the women's division, and that lasts Friday and half of Saturday. And then starting Saturday evening, you can compete in one of 3 different co-ed, male or female team divisions, teams of 2. And that is also a 1.5 day competition that goes from Friday evening until Sunday evening. And so you chose to do both last year. And the women's division, this is the podium. I'm not looking at closely, but it was a great competition. Like it was extremely tight from kind of beginning to end. And if I remember correctly, you had kind of buzzer beater performances in both the first and the last event that ultimately allowed you to win it. But from your perspective on the field of play, do you just want to give us a little trip down memory lane of the individual comp last year?
Yeah. You said it exactly right though. It was really good. It was one of my first, outside of competing the game season the year before, it was one of my first individual competitions where I was actually okay, I'm going in and I really am going to try to win. And just because I finally believed in myself that I could. So
it's a big deal.
Yeah. And so buzzer beaters is right. I actually think I had 3 different workouts where I was separated by less than a full second. The first one being the basically 3K run, which everybody knows is not my forte. I took 11th out of 16 on it, but that 11th place,
it mattered.
It mattered, but because originally they said that myself and the girl had we tied, and I'm no, I was a step ahead of her. I chased her down in the last 100 meters to get a step and a half ahead of her.
And I know that was Jessica Schwartz.
Yes.
The reason I remember is because she also had her hair dyed blue last year, and I just thought it was so funny that, like you said, a field of 16, there's 2 women with dyed blue hair, which is probably never happens anyway. And then they go out for this run, and when they come back, they're both chasing each other down for the finish line and finish a step apart from each other. This is a once in a forever type of thing.
That is true. Yes. But yeah, so that was fun. And I didn't take last place in the run. So that was my goal on that one. But because that's, I really had to show up for the rest of the events. And for the other, was it 4 events? Or is it 5 total events? Anyway.
It seems like they usually try to get 6 scores, but they do it in some kind of clever ways because of time.
Yeah. And so I won. I took first place in every other event except for one where I took 3rd place. And Caroline Klutz and I were actually tied for first place in terms of points at the end of all of it. And I just had more event wins, which is why I got the number 1 spot. But it all came down to the last event. Shaylin, Lori came up to me. We were talking in the warm-up area, and I was like, I need you to beat her, Shaylin. And she said, I'll do what I can. And I told her I'd give her $25 of my winnings if she came in between me and Caroline, and she's like, I'm gonna do my best. And she did. She got, again, just like the run. I finished first, so I did my part, and then Shaylin stepped over into her number like half a second before Caroline. And again, because Fittest of the Coast timers, like, the judge is just looking at the clock. They don't look at the milliseconds, whatever. So they had them tied. And so I went to Shaylin, which would have given Caroline the win. So I went up again and I said, go dispute your score, get your second place, because you earned that second place. That's for you. I'll give you another $25. So she got $50 of my podium money. She can vouch. I held true to it. But yeah, so it was a really fun competition. That individual one. That was the first time I ever won.
Patrick's having some fun there. No, and it was super fun, and I think last year Kyle, obviously prior to the competition by several months, he reached out to me to see if I wanted to come in and do the live stream. And I've talked about this a lot, but it was kind of that competition a year ago that really kickstarted two things for me as I traveled around the world last year covering these competitions. And one is that the margins for error at the top divisions are so small. I say it all the time. It's 1 point, it's 1 second, it's 1 kilo or 1 pound on a lift. It's one bad decision. It's one no rep. It's like the premium for the separation between athletes, like you see in this picture, that, over especially if it's a 2-day competition with 6 events or less, it's going to come down to something like that for a win or a podium spot or the last cash or whatever it is. And therefore, I really emphasize the competitions, not that the elite division or the pro division is more important or better than any of the other divisions that are competing, but it is different. Mm-hmm. The speed at which athletes are moving, the things that are on the line for them in terms of money, accomplishments, maybe sponsor stuff, future opportunities, qualifying for whatever the next thing is. Like, those things are real parts of not just your competition, but like your career. And I think that even though the entire community that's competing at Fittest of the Coast this week is an important part of that competition, that there needs to be some extra consideration given to that pro division. And one of the ways that competitions can do that is, even if you don't have a live stream, is by having footage, like the competition actually having footage of those pro divisions, those pro heats that they can reference in situations like that, because it is a big demand on the judges, especially if they're judging all day on the community and then asked to judge athletes that are moving at a really difficult speed to judge. And that's just a fail safe that they can have in place to make sure that they get it right. And like you said, that's for Shaylin, but really what it is, it's for the integrity of the competition. It's that, hey, I was a step ahead of her. She was a step ahead of her. Yes, that is in my interest because I end up winning some money getting this first place, but it's also what actually happened. And we want to try to uphold the competition as much as we can.
Absolutely. And you did a great job. I remember everyone who was watching from afar was so thankful you were there with the live feed. So,
it's crazy. I'll admit this here. Like, and that was early on in doing this. We hadn't even switched. Like, you'll see this year that we'll be streaming it on YouTube, and the quality will be better. It'll be a landscape instead of portrait mode. I can frame more athletes. We have a higher resolution. The audio should be better. Like, we've improved in a lot of different ways, but it's like something I've even back then I felt like really comfortable being able to do that because there wasn't like a lot of expectation. Yeah. I'm just there with a phone and a gimbal, and I can still capture the story and tell the story through speaking. We were hired to do the broadcast for Wadapalooza, and I'm not sure if you've watched any of it, but it's a lot more challenging, a lot more variables in play. There's like, and personally to me, I feel like we could, in terms of capturing the story of what's happening there, I could actually do more with less. Give me two people, give me and Patrick on the floor, mic'd up, and we can just do it. Yeah. 2 camera angles, 1 or 2 voices, and we're good to go. several
Mhm.
cameras, all this technical stuff, all these sponsor integrations, everything else that you throw into it. And now it's like the challenge of telling the story that people at home want to watch. Because when you said that it was nice for people to watch, like, to me that means one thing: there's a group of people that are tuning in to watch you. And
Mhm.
yes, you're competing against everyone else, but everybody else also has that group of people that are tuning in to
Yep.
compete. And how many broadcast competitions have we watched over the years where the heat starts and there's 10, 20, 40 people in it, and then the event wears on and suddenly you see 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 people if you're lucky throughout the course of the event. And even those people, you
Mhm.
don't actually have a good understanding of what they've been doing the whole time. You get glimpses here and check-ins here and then come back here and then they finish. So
Right.
I think that's a challenge of storytelling for CrossFit events in general, because they're so complex. They take up a lot of space. There's a lot of athletes, but I actually feel more like I'm better at doing it by myself than I am with a full crew. And maybe it's because I've done it more, and I just need more practice with the other one. But yeah, I'm intending to do the best I can this weekend
Yeah.
too.
Excited.
So let's oh yeah, and then the teams. You did the team competition last year. It's hard for me to tell when it comes to Fittest of the Coast, like if there's more of a premium put on the team competition or the individual competition. That is Patrick, right?
That is Patrick.
Yep. You guys competed together
Co-ed
and
We
teams.
did.
got on the podium.
Yep.
And it was, again, I think it was a pretty good competition.
Mhm. He said he'd never compete with me again, though.
Ha!
Except in grid.
Except in grid, yeah. He had to see God in a lot of those workouts, and these are his words, not mine. So he, I think a lot of people weren't sure that we would podium, and he always says like it wasn't because of me. Everyone wasn't sure that, like, whatever. So, but the thing about Patrick is he might not be the fittest one out there, but he can grind harder than anybody. He will go to the dark place and black out. I shoved him in one of the workouts, and afterward I said, "I'm sorry I pushed you." He didn't even remember it. So
No, he's given everything he had for you.
he's just blacked out. Yep.
So, clearly it was a good experience for you. You decided to do it again this year. I also had a great experience there. I felt like they did a good job of organizing things. Everything seemed to run on time. They had 2 competition floors going at the same time.
Mhm.
And it's like, I would say, pretty efficient design in order to get like the most opportunity for a big number of athletes in a relatively small
Yeah,
amount of time.
totally. With the amount of people they have, they run. I mean, even like they run a good event, regardless of how many people there are. But there's a lot of people, and they do a really good job.
Have you looked at the pro women's roster that you're going to be going up against this weekend?
I will. I haven't. I looked at it during the qualifiers, but I haven't looked at it since. So let's look at it. Let's see who's there.
Well, I shared with Patrick this morning. We have Barkley Dale with Apollo Performance Analytics that pulls, basically does a pull of all the athletes in the field. Now, the CrossFit Games profile is there in column B, and then the age, height, weight, state, and affiliate are pulled from the athlete's games profile. So those may not be accurate based on if people haven't updated that stuff. But everything to the right of that is going to be accurate and kind of the best that you can get. And so in orange, you see that's an overall rating worldwide. So this is based on all of like the individual competitions that these athletes have done that register on our database, which is extremely comprehensive. And then the field rating scales it up so that the top athlete in the field is 99, no matter what they are on the global scale, and it scales down from there. And so, you can see here when, it's kind of zooming in on the top. And I think even if Patrick were to zoom out a little and look at maybe 2 or 3 more athletes, including Madeline Helms and Chloe Carano, that like those are like on paper, that's kind of maybe where the break line is. Chloe, Madeline, Allison Wynn, McKenna, Amanda, and Emma Harving. Do you have experience competing against any or all of these women?
Yeah, I have competed. Let me zoom in on here. I've competed against Emma, Allison. I'm pretty sure Madeline.
Sorry.
Emma and I are Emma. She's come to a blacklisted camp before, so Emma and I know each other pretty well.
Bryn,
I'm excited to see her.
yeah,
I don't
Bryn
know that
competed. I think she competed individual last year.
Okay.
Bryn individually last year.
Cass I've competed against.
I know Cass. She's fun. And Madeline was 7th last year. So they were in the field.
Leanna's one of my training partners. I haven't competed against her, but she
really?
actually she joined Blacklisted shortly after Fittest to the Coast last year. Fun fact. Shelby. I know Shelby.
So the women's field is pretty big. And there's some
Yeah, they
women down
extended
here.
it to 32 this year.
There are some women towards the bottom, Teresa Puckett, Melissa Hoof, Emily Meyer. These are better athletes than it will show on this scoring system. So they either do team competitions, are really young, or
Haley Rolfe is a good one too.
And Haley Rolfe.
Mm-hmm.
So we may just not have much data of those. Haley and Emily Meyer are both 19. So they may not have much competition experience.
Yeah. Well, and Christine, she's competed team. She's done really well. Like her and her teams have done really well.
Christine Best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I've seen Anna Vincent compete on a team as well in at Crash, I believe, Crescendo. So I think there's a little more depth to this field than expected. And like I said, the ones that filter towards the top are the ones we have the most competition experience on. Certainly, these are some talented athletes. But when you kind of look at the total field, do you put any kind of certain expectation or pressure on yourself for a weekend like this, or is it kind of like just going to do my thing?
No, my coach Kyle and I were actually just talking about this today, and historically I'm never like as fit as I'm obviously like I'm not peaked. I don't try to peak for these competitions in February, January. It's really just kind of, I think about it and treat it as another training weekend, see where I'm at, seeing what holes we still have and need to work on for the upcoming season, whatever that's going to look like. And yeah, I try whenever I compete with no expectations for myself and I just go out there and have fun is when I do the best. So obviously I know some of these girls, I know they all qualified to be there as well. So we're all very fit individuals. So at the end of the day, you just got to go out and
I'll show you something kind of PC. Scroll all the way to the right side of this table. This is something that Barkley and I have added in recently that I think is really cool. It's the off-season experience tab. So this will pull up to 5 data points that we have in the database of like kind of your best competitions over the past couple of years. So obviously we can see you've done beach ball quite a bit. Your Crash Crucible result shows up in your Fittest to the Coast. But that's a pretty cool feature that he has in his database that we can use, just because I might be like, I know I saw this person compete somewhere, but like, man, like we said, there's so many different places to compete. So anyway, that's the women's field. Let's take a look. I didn't know if they announced all the workouts in the same place or not, but are you familiar with the workouts? Like if I was to say, is there a workout, you can go to that tab, Patrick, that you're particularly excited, nervous for, curious to see how you do, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, overall, these workouts they look really fun. I'm glad that the workout that has running is only 4 rounds of a 200-meter run and not a full-on, basically 5K this year. It's also paired with moderate snatches and a rope climb. So 2 things that I'm pretty good at. So I'm excited to see how that one pans out.
Well, I saw that workout. It's actually down in the middle of the screen. If you want to show it at the same time we're talking about it, Patrick, I think it's short side event 2 or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
4 rounds, 200-meter runs, 6 snatch, 3 rope climbs. I saw this workout and I immediately thought of a different workout. Do you know which one?
Is it from the games in 19? That first one, what'd they call it? First cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's lighter. It's not legless. It's less running, but it's the same 3 movements in combination. And the cool thing about that workout that year, I will hold on to this claim for as long as anyone will, until someone tells me I can't, is that I think the top 10 athletes on both the men's and women's side on that first event was actually a better representation of the athletes on earth that year than the top 10 by the end of the weekend. This event in and of itself, running, snatching, and climbing a rope, I think is about as good as an MWG triplet as you can program if you want to have one workout to really assess fitness across a broad group of people.
I can see that. Totally.
FOTC, if we go back to the top here, Patrick, they did have a swim this year, a swimming event for, I think it's for the pro division only, or maybe pro and RX.
I think it's
It's
just
not
the pro division.
It's pro, so it's not for everyone, and it's interesting to me because it's called a bag thruster with swimming, and anytime there's a bag and water, there's a potential for it to get heavier.
I'm okay with that though. Make it as heavy as you want it to. The heavier, the better for me, because that swim, I like the water, and I have practiced swimming in the past, not recently. So we'll see how this one pans out. It's only 50 yards at a time, so it's just a down and back, which I should be able to manage just fine. But yeah, make that bag thruster as heavy as you want it to be. That'll help me out.
I think it's cool to, similar to we were talking about the grid and the worm. I don't think that swimming needs to be in every competition. I don't even think it needs to be at every CrossFit Games necessarily. But I do think that having it show up, here and there in competition makes sense. It's a very functional thing for athletes to be able to do. I don't know if Fittest of the Coast has ever had it before. It's one of the things I'm intending to ask those guys when I get there in a couple days. But love the inclusion of it. I also don't mind that it's limited to the pro division. They're, just like they do with a lot of the other events, there's an offsite running event for several other divisions that's going on kind of simultaneously to this one in the pool, but at the same offsite facility. So that'll be a cool start to the day on Friday. They have tank push in the second event. Someone was asking me about this workout, and they're like, what's a good time on this workout? And I'm like, I don't know how to assess a tank push in a 4-time workout. Do you have any thoughts or feelings about the tank as part of competition?
I don't mind it. It's kind of one of those things where it's like it's a different element that you don't see everywhere. The thing I don't love about this is a torque tank, right? One of the torque tanks.
I think so, yeah.
What I don't love about the torque tank is that you can only push it so fast. You can't just put your head down and sprint with it. You can't, because it literally just doesn't move that fast because it's resisted. It's got the wheels. So that's the one thing I wish I wish there was some differentiation in the speed that you could do it at, but it's 120 feet. I guess I don't know what the resistance is going to be on it, but thank goodness that's basically the only thing we need our legs for in that workout.
I think about the torque tank because a lot of athletes and coaches will say the same thing, that there's if you have a sled, and let's say it's got a 2 plates on it, whatever, you could do a slow, steady push with the sled, or you could push it fast and hard. And if you push it fast and hard, what's that comparable? Well, that's comparable to doing touch and go barbell cycling reps, as opposed to steady singles, which are going to be kind of more slow and grindy. And obviously, depending on your strength as an athlete, you might excel at slow and grindy, but you might be someone who can get that high heart rate, recover, and you can use that to your advantage in a Metcon. And I think that element of choosing is taken out of the equation with the torque tank.
100%. But I've done plenty of competitions with it. It is a fun different element that you don't see all the time. So it's always fun to see it here and there. And I like that they have the pirouettes with the handstands. Yeah,
this looks like a kind of a overall, torque tank aside, I think it's kind of a cool workout because you have some risk in there with the handstand walking. It says, unbroken, 40 feet unbroken with a pirouette. So certainly kind of a decision to be made when to go. And then if you fail it, how much do I wait, etc. How do I do on those toes to bar? So I think there's an opportunity for us kind of a slow start and then some passes in the middle by the gymnasts. If they have a
the 50 toes to bar in the middle. Whew.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. You don't maybe think too much about it. It's not like a crazy number, but it definitely affects getting inverted. And you have the hinging with the ski on both sides as well. So event 3 we already talked about, which I think is the last event on Friday. That's the 4 rounds of the run, snatch, rope climb. And then there's 2 events on Saturday. The first one is...
Oh, yeah.
I think this is kind of... did you write this workout?
I might have sent it to Kyle as a suggestion. No, just kidding. Oh yeah, I remember. That one got announced, and I immediately screenshotted it, sent to my coach, and I said, "Let's go."
I mean, I'm asking you this, and I'm nobody's expecting you to be modest or humble, but like this looks like a workout that if it was an open workout, you could possibly win it worldwide.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
This workout was written for me.
it's like I think it's a cool event in general, kind of the way that it fits in there. And you know what it reminds me of actually is that, you know what would have been awesome to have you around for? Are you familiar with WZA Strong, the Wadapalooza Strongman competitions?
Yes, that does sound vaguely familiar.
There were 2 years that they did WZA Strong. Rob Orlando organized them. And so there would be workouts like this, where like the two things you would be doing in the workout would be like hundreds or 70s pound dumbbell bench for 10 reps, 100 double unders, 5 rounds, something like that, where you're like, yeah, the guys who can crank out these 100-pound dumbbell bench, great. Can they do a jump rope? Or there was something like heavy yoke carry with ring muscle up, and you're just like, wow. So like you had to be strong, and if you weren't strong, they had stone over yoke carry, heavy bench press. Like you had to be strong, but you also had to do ring muscle ups, walk on your hands, do double unders, like these high skill stuff. And I feel like if you'd known about it, you would have been a good contestant in that. And this workout reminds me of one of those workouts.
Yeah, I'm excited. I actually forgot about this one. I'm very excited about that one.
That should be a good one. You won't want to miss Amanda on that one. And then the finisher looks kind of nasty to me. Ring muscle up, devil press, and then lunge to the finish. I mean, lunge to the finish has become very common as a kind of a finish to not just a workout, but also to like a final workout, because it's just a good storytelling element. But I like the buy-in here where like you have to, it's not crazy volume for those things, but it's going to hurt. And you're going to be hurting when you go to that lunge, but the lunge isn't that long.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna hurt.
Isn't that long, but it's still gonna hurt. But like that, and the ring muscle up devil's press combo, nasty.
Well, yes, because you're coming from full extension, you got to pass through full range of motion and get the press out, which is a lot of the limiter. And then on the devil's press, it's like the inverse. You come down, you get the press, and then you return this time with weight to the same sort of hanging or full lockout position overhead. I haven't seen that combo very often. I don't even know if this needed the lunge at the end, was my first thought when I saw it.
I know. I'm looking at that cap. I was like, whoo.
I think the 12.96543 run to the finish line would have been like, probably good enough. Maybe we'll get some dramatic lunges there.
Maybe.
My hope is that most of the athletes finish under the time cap. I never like it when there's a final and most people get time. Like it's nice. So
you don't get that, you don't get that finality of them crossing the finish line and like just ending it, Yeah.
Amanda, would you consider yourself a fan of the sport of fitness?
I would consider myself a fan of the sport of fitness. Yes.
Did you happen to watch the women's individual final event at Wadapalooza, either live or after the fact?
The final heat or just the final event?
Final heat, where it was like Lucy versus Laura right down to the wire.
I watched the first 2 heats in person, and then I went to bed because I competed the next morning. So I did. Well, no. I watched all the first 3 women's heats, but then they were running all the first 3 men's heats. They did that thing. I wanted to watch it, but I had to go to bed.
Definitely the right choice.
That one. Yes.
Definitely the right choice on the athlete side, but that would be a good one to go watch back. I thought that the finish, like her finishing that event, Lucy Campbell finishing that event, was one of the coolest, nice work, Patrick, finishes that I've seen in a while. I mean, just right before this shot, she's coming off the rings, like her hands are up. You can't tell if she's crying or smiling or what. Here it is. Yeah.
I've seen.
Go ahead.
I said I've seen the pictures of that finish.
Well, I'm gonna throw this out there. It's completely off topic, but this girl, rookie at the CrossFit Games, wins 2 events, takes 16th place, goes through this devastating wrist thing, 2 years grinding to get back into competition. She does a kind of a smallish competition in Spain, wins it, qualifies for Wadapalooza, comes there. That like 3 of the most challenging things for her in the rehab process were front rack position, receiving a heavy clean, They had a clean and hang clean event that counted as 1/6 of the scores. Ring muscle ups, which had 15, 10, 5 ring muscle ups with thrusters, which are also front racking demanding as the final event of the competition. And handstand walking, where they had to do 4 45-foot sections unbroken in the midst of some other upper body pressing, including heavy dumbbell overhead and wall facing handstand push up. That's half of the events in the 6 event competition that should have been challenging for her, not from a fitness perspective, from a recovering from a devastating physical limitation thing. And she beats Ariel Lowen, beats Alexis Raptis, beats Laura Horvath, wins Wadapalooza. I mean, she was 4th there the last time she did it, but like now she's gotten, as a result of that, she got offered a signed invitation to compete at the WFP this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, how good is this girl and how good can she be?
We're about to find out.
I think it's one of the best. I mean, without even knowing how it continues and how it finishes, even up to this point, just in the last 3-year windows of Lucy Campbell, I think it's one of the best stories that we've ever seen in the sport.
Yeah,
I think kind of ranks up there. I say it's really familiar, really similar to kind of like Annie Thorisdottir coming back from being pregnant at the games. You know, she was kind of like, you know, here's a games champion, and she looked great. Lucy's a little bit different because she wasn't a champion, and now she comes back and she's a champion. But I think those are kind of very fair. I mean, those would probably be the 2 stories, like when it comes to CrossFit, like that are probably very similar. And I mean, yeah, I think Lucy Campbell can, you know, like you said, she's going to have a chance to prove herself because now she's going to be competing against some of the best for 3 competitions.
Amanda, I'm going to do my own.
As well as trying to, because I don't know if you're familiar with the World Fitness Project format is, but she's going to have challenges. People that are just as hungry trying to get this spot. Yeah,
I'm going to be one of them.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think that's a really cool thing about the World Fitness Project is like, yeah, you have these 20 athletes that are well-known champions in so many different ways, but their spot isn't guaranteed next year because you can have someone like yourself, a Dana Perrin lined up. I mean, a Matilda Garnis, who's a games, you know, and then you have other games athletes who felt like me and Brian talked about. There's some athletes who thought they got snubbed, and they're going to go out there and prove something. And then you're going to, I think it's really cool because you're going to have some people. I mean, just there's motivation. It's a funny thing, and I mean, I see you smiling there about it. It's like, you know, you get the right set of workouts for you. You know, someone like Lucy Campbell, you know, she might be looking over her shoulder, whereas other athletes might be looking for Lucy. So I think it's really cool.
Amanda, Brian, I'm gonna do a power rankings for the 20 athletes that they did sign. Should I put Lucy in the top 5, the next 5, 11 through 15, or bottom 5?
Definitely not the. I'm trying to think about all the names, like all the people. I mean, freaking A. She just won Wadapalooza with half the how many of the signed athletes were at Wadapalooza?
Alexis Raptis.
Top 5 or next 5, man. Definitely not anywhere below the next 5.
Yeah.
I agree.
Not anywhere below the next 5. She is. That's
gonna be
fun to watch her this season.
When I picked her for Wadapalooza, I put her just in the middle because I was like, I don't know, and I knew she was struggling with things that were going to be tested there in her like recovery, and she just messaged me. I think she left a message on the post and also messaged me like, "No, you got that wrong. I'm going to do way better than that."
Heck yeah, she did a little better than that.
A little better. Let's shift over to the co-ed teams at Fittest. Are you doing co-ed or women's? I can't actually remember.
Co-ed again, yeah, not with Patrick this time.
I didn't get it. No, but I think you're with Jordan, and didn't he win it last year?
Jordan London?
Yeah, was he on Shaylin's team that won, or was it someone else?
He was on Shaylin's team for the season last year.
I think they were. If we find that picture, I think that was them that won. It's harder for me to sort this in the way that I did previously because it would just segregate the teams. Like if you scored a lot higher in the ranking than your counterpart. But I did highlight some of the teams. Actually, I'm literally doing it right now. in green that I think are contenders to potentially win this thing.
Oh, thank you.
And in orange, I have one team in orange that's just because it's Pool Boy, and in case he watches this, I want him to know that I gave him a shout out. I mean, they're coming from California, him and Julia, to do it. But yes, I do think that you and Jordan are a really good, strong team here. Quinn Robinson, who was your counterpart in the championship on the individual side last year, competing with Bryn Carrick. Bryn is a well-known team athlete from Reignited. Jordan Adcock and Frank Mastrani are in this field. Jordan's with Training Think Tank. Frank's bounced around a little bit. And then Riley Good and Ashley Cope, who I don't think that they're doing the individual side of it. And they're actually are my pick to win. What do you think about that?
Sorry, you cut out on my end, so I missed what you just said.
Oh,
who's your pick to win? Not me?
Not you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
offended.
I'm picking Riley and Ashley. Do you know them well at all?
Wait, Riley Good and Ashley Cope?
Yeah.
I know them.
So, I mean, Riley's
They're
been
great
having
athletes. They're great athletes. Riley's having a great preseason. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I knew that. I can tell that this pisses you off.
They'll be good. They'll be good competition. I will say, I was just, you know what I'm disappointed in though? That Tim Paulson and Taylor Williams
They
didn't
withdrew.
sign up.
Oh, that would have been
Well,
fun.
They did the qualifier.
I'm just looking through this now. This division is tough. Brandon
tough.
Four and Daniel Dunlap
Yeah,
are good.
that's
Justin
good too.
Reitelbach and Courtney Picktel is a good team. You and Jordan are good.
Yeah.
Quinn and Bryn is a good team. Jordan and Frank that we talked about. Riley and Ashley. Corby Foxall and Kelly Benfee. Kelly's been on a team. She went to Australia to compete on a team that ended up making to the games.
That's cool.
Travis Flanagan is listed to compete in this division. He is a savage. If he's aging up this year, he's 39. If he ages into the 40 to 45 division, he's a threat to win that division. And Robert Yates is competing with, I think it's Ellie is how you say it, Stewart, who's pretty young. And Robert was on a team that just did Carolina Dogs that did pretty well in Wadapalooza. They impressed me. So this is a fun division to me.
It's going to be really fun. I want good competition, so it's going to be exciting.
Do you feel like in a division like this where it might be pretty tightly, potentially an advantage for the teams that don't do the individual competition?
Sorry, can you repeat that? You cut out in the middle.
Do you think it's an advantage for the teams that don't do the individual competition entering into the team crush?
For the individuals that don't do? Oh, yeah. I mean,
basically people like you.
Yeah, like me and Jordan, we're both competing individually Friday, Saturday. So we're obviously going to be at physically more fatigued and tired than anybody who doesn't compete in the individual division, but still podiumed last year when I did it. So I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I didn't pick you to win is because they're coming in fresh.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Have you looked as closely at the workouts for the teams?
No. Sorry, Jordan, if you're watching this. Yeah, let's look at them.
Okay, they're not as easily to decipher as individual ones, but they are using some similar implements here, which I found interesting because
I noticed that about the handstand walk torque one. I was like, what? That's like the same workout minus the deadlifts.
Yeah, working with the Loud and Live team in the preparations for Wadapalooza the last couple of years, they are very conscientious of athletes might be doing both individual and team. And so you'll see when they do like a strength test. Okay, the individuals this year had a clean plus a hang clean. The teams were tested in the overhead squat. So it's different. It's not even a 1 rep max or a complex, but it's a different way of testing strength that if you do both, it feels new and fresh and different. This was the one when I looked at it that I was like, that's very similar.
Yeah, I remember that when it first got announced.
So, we'll see how it goes. I think tank handstand walk and then mixed object deadlifts is always kind of interesting. It's dumbbells and kettlebells, so a little bit of synchronization there, but I don't know what the separator is on this workout for those top teams. Like, I feel like this is going to be very tight.
Very tight. I guess maybe the handstand walk, like how well you can. I mean, it's 200 feet, so it is more than. Yeah.
And I think that the synchro mix object deadlift that's gonna put some stress on the grip and the forearms. So you might actually see people failing on a handstand walk. I think the tank push is just I think that's kind of just thrown in there. Just I don't think it's really going to tire anyone out. I mean, it's going to be mainly old legs, quad dominated. It's more you just leaning up against it and pushing it. Whereas I think the handstand, yeah, I agree. I think the handstand walk is there's going to be some fatigue there from the deadlifts.
Mm-hmm.
The next event, let's see if they have them in the same order I do here. Event 2.
See if I can
they're all over the place.
Here we go. Team Saturday. Got it.
Is this the thrusters one?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is
we love Fran.
To me, this is disgusting.
Oh, it's so gross.
But you get to choose if you're going to do 40-40 of thrusters and chest bar or 20-12-8, which is like, which do you prefer?
I personally would Jordan and I haven't even talked about who's doing what with this one, but Jordan, if you're watching, I would prefer what?
You call dibs.
Yeah, I would prefer the 20-12-8 because
yeah,
I like working density workouts, like where the 40-40. I mean, I can obviously do it. I would do just right, but like I prefer just like shorter, smaller, quicker sets going back and forth. But it's just another version of Fran, man.
For you know a lot of the athletes in the Southeast that are in this division for the males and females pretty well. I think the 20-12-8 is like, you don't even have to think about it. That's unbroken unless you make a mistake, slip off a bar or something. 40-40, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
I feel like if you do have an athlete,
and
I think if you do have an athlete, whether it's a male or a female, that can do the 40 chest to bar unbroken after 40 unbroken thrusters, that's hard to beat. But it's always interesting when, like, this is people have had their frustrations over the years of workouts when it's called like choose your own adventure. That one open workout where it's like 40, 80, 120, any order you want. This is the kind of choose your own adventure that I like when there's teams involved. Is like, okay, partner A, or sometimes when it's been male, females, 2 and 2, like first couple does this one in the density, like you said, the other one has the broken up one, and you get to kind of mix and match. Both have to do the same volume of work, but where you put each partner can make a big difference.
Well, and kind of speaking of like, the pro divisions are separated by seconds, whatever. Like, this is literally just chest to bar Fran, more or less. And like at this pro level, like no matter who you put where, the times are going to be separated by seconds. Like it's going to be so close. So it's just that'll probably be another fun one to watch in terms of having good racers out on the floor.
Yeah, and I haven't really looked at the flows too closely yet, but even the transition between partner A and B from the thrusters in the second part to the chest to bars, I don't know if that person has to advance the bar at all, go over a bar to get back and forth to the rig, but those things will all matter when it's so quick and everyone's so good. So it seems like both events so far, a big premium on execution, and it's going to be tight. Event 3 is like immediately after this event, I think.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's Amanda Fischer specialty event again.
A little jerk in it though.
Give me that heavy barbell, man.
Is 175 even a heavy barbell for you?
No.
I thought that was 245 for her.
Oh yeah, I mean I could do that too.
Ooh, that would be cool if you were allowed to do the 245 bar, but count as like 2 reps or 3 reps or something. If the woman did that bar,
that would be kind of cool.
or that like your male would be able to do the 175, but it's
You
2
can wrap
reps
around.
equals 1, you know, half.
Oh.
Yeah, like that would be a cool nuance to put in there, you know, similarly to what we were talking about before of like, okay, Jordan, you can just rip these off at 175, but can you do 10
Right.
as fast as I can do 6 at 245? Because if I can do 6, I'll get 6, and if you do 10, you only get 5. Yeah,
That's why I
Yeah.
like that's why I like team workouts more than I like individual workouts sometimes, is because of strategy. I love watching the strategy that's playing. And I think like something like this, a simple workout, but you can make it fun with a twist, where you can make it a
Mhm.
race where someone, it's appealing for a fan. If a fan's walking over there and they see some guy just 175 and just ripping them out, and then you see another guy over there with 245, some doing the same thing with more weight. It just like kind of
Mhm.
puts it in perspective their level of fitness or the strategy, especially when it's your turn or the women's turn to step up to the plate what they do. Because obviously, a woman that steps up to a bar to do 245, you're going to get a lot more attention. That was something I saw at IF3. Um, they had a team event, and the men and women used the final event. The men and women used the same bar on the weights. So it was really cool because you saw, and I was telling Brian, there's a girl from Sweden, Lisa Anderson. She did a couple touch and go at a heavy barbell, whereas all the other women on other teams, they they would they weren't they would take they couldn't even deadlift it up to their.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of fun because again, only a couple reps. There's only a couple of reps, but it gave their guy
Cool. Yeah.
a couple breaks. He came back, but yeah, I like that. I like the whole strategy and stuff like that.
The one thing I was curious about is does knowing this comes second affect your thought process for the first part? Like, ooh, if I do the 40-40, I get a little bit more rest and I can really capitalize on my barbell cycling strength.
Yeah, I guess that's where Jordan and I have to talk, right? Because we had never worked out together, so and we don't know each other super well in terms of like, so it depends on how well he can move 245. So yeah, if I can move 175 more effectively than he can move 245, it maybe is I get the
Let's just to say
40-40.
that let's just assume that you can do that.
Then I
I
have to
mean,
do the 40-40, I guess.
Griffin's not in the field, so I think that you're gonna have the advantage over the guys with the barbell cycling.
I suppose. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Maybe that does. I mean, that totally does depend. That
Oh,
who
here's a
goes.
fun one. Here's a fun one though. No, not Fittest to the Coast related, just for fun. If there was a workout and it was only 3 minutes for max clean and jerks at those weights, head to head versus Griffin, who's taking it?
Between me and Griffin.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has to use 245. You use 175. 3 minute AMRAP, 1v1.
I think it's close.
Me too.
I think it.
Close. I think it's close, but I think you win because I think Griffin gets a couple no reps.
Oh, hear that, Griffin?
No, I mean just like I just think I mean I think of you two that I mean I've seen both of you guys work out and you guys are both excellent movers, especially when it comes to lockout and especially if it was like a squat clean.
Mhm.
I think you're a better squatter than Griffin is because he's just got those big legs. Sometimes it's hard for him, but yeah, I'd probably take you on that.
Oh, wow. Thank
But
you.
it'd be close.
It'd be
I was
really
hoping
close.
I was hoping you would call it out, not Patrick would bail you out.
Yeah.
I don't know though. That's the thing. You give Griffin a challenge, he'll maybe
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
we'll have to do it.
Atlanta Wild preseason camp 2025. Head to head, we're doing it.
There we go. We could televise that.
Flip that, Patrick. 103. Send it to Mia.
Got it. Setting it.
All right, let's look at the Sunday events. I think is there another 2-part event on Sunday? I think.
Yes, it's
Maybe.
4 and 5. Right here.
4 and 5. They
Yep.
have a little bit of it's intervals.
Oh yeah, this one.
Some running and some skiing.
Mm-hmm.
If you run, then you have to ski after. If you ski, then you have to do an AMRAP of bar muscle up, toes to bar, and hang squat cleans. And you get scored not based on the buy-in, but based on that AMRAP and on the running partner's skiing calories. It's a little
Mhm.
complicated, but
It is a little complicated, but
again, there's a big opportunity to lean into a strength, or if you get pretty fortunate, like 2 possible strengths here between the 2 of you.
well, you do have to alternate each round, so you'll each do both twice.
Oh, I see. And
Yeah.
it's 4, so it's 4 total. Okay, and there's no rest. Like as soon as one round ends, you go back to the buy-in.
Yeah, which having done that at Wadapalooza this past week with the 3-3-3-4, that I don't love that. I don't love that format so much, but it is what it is. Even if
Why?
it was just like a 30-second rest,
Right.
so you could actually reset. Because at Wadapalooza, you weren't allowed to leave your dumbbells until the time ran out. So that just like super cut into your buy-in. And so I was just kind of like, if we're allowed to move to our run or our skiers like early within the, or like if we're allowed to, okay, we're going to decide to end 10 seconds early so we can get ready for the buy-in, then I'm cool with it. But what I didn't like about the Wadapalooza one was that we were told we had to stay by our dumbbells, and so then it just cut into the buy-in even more. And I thought we should have been able to.
I'm with you. I didn't even know that was a rule that was in place. But going back to this kind of continuous conversation that we've been having of, okay, here's the work, here's how you get the points. Do the way that makes sense to you. If you choose to end 10 seconds early or work all the way to the cap, like everyone still has 12 total minutes available to them. They still have to do the same meters and
Right.
Wait, what's the buy-in max cal skier?
So it looks like partner A is doing a run, and then when they're done with the run, they kick their teammate off of the ski erg, and their teammate goes and does the AMRAP.
So there's no buy-in on the ski erg. It's just get as many calories as you can while your partner is running.
While you're running for a minute.
Pass the handles off to them and go get to work on the AMRAP.
It's gross. This is gonna be gross.
I actually think this would be a great workout or some variation to program it for like a partner class in a gym on Saturday.
Ooh, yeah.
This would be a cool partner workout. Go out for your run, come back, take over on whatever machine of your choice. That person basically kicks into the dynamic triplet there and of whatever scaled versions you need to do. Yeah, that's a kind of fun workout. Patrick, let's do that workout together next time we work out.
I mean, no, the more we're talking about it, the more like, ooh, actually, never mind. It's fun. It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be disgusting.
Patrick could do the run every time, and I'll just have to do everything else.
Exactly.
And then,
if there's deadlifts in there or squats, I can do it. So. I suck at
Patrick's going to do, when it gets to the AMRAP, it's going to be not bar muscle up, 7 burpees. 7, what are you going to do for toes to bar?
Oh, I'm not doing V-ups, I'll tell you that much.
I was just about to say V-ups.
7 weighted sit-ups with a med ball. And then
I'll do 7 sets of 30-second planks or something. I don't know. Hey. Definitely not doing V-ups.
Got to get those isometrics in.
It's not the scale for toe to bars. V-ups is not the scale for toe to bars. Complete opposite.
Let's go look at the final event. The final event is, I think, the only one for the teams that has a worm involved. It's the 2-person worm.
Handstand push-ups.
Yes, but it's not. I'm not sure. It's going to be event 6 somewhere on here, and I'm not sure really if like. The worm might be a separator for some people. Is it even? Oh, there it is. But there's definitely the handstand push-ups can also play a factor in this. So we'll look at it here. Worm clean and jerks, burpees over worms, worm lunge, 30 wall-facing handstand push-up in the first round, and then 20-foot worm lunge. So that's like 1 round of a 3-round workout. Everything repeats the same except the handstand push-ups change from 30 wall-facing to 40 strict facing away from the wall to 50 kipping handstand push-ups facing away from the wall. And I think that there's the potential for you to be the best team on the floor with the worm and still do terribly on this workout if you're not good at the handstand push-ups.
I would say this definitely is a handstand push-up workout more than anything. Like, unless you're really bad at the worm, but the worms are so light. It's 150 pounds. Like, The worm is just make sure you execute and don't F up on it. But this comes down to the handstand push-ups for sure. Because it's also only 10 burpees each time. Thank God.
Well, and I think, I liked when I first saw the totality of the workouts. I said, okay, they got a worm in 1 of 6. I think that worm is a great thing to have in a partner competition or teams of 3, teams of 4. If you have 6 events, I think 1 or 2 times to show up is like the minimum and maximum that I like to see it. But I usually like for it to be like a deciding factor in the workout if it's going to show up there, and usually it is. If you look at Wadapalooza, for example, the 2 workouts where the worm showed up, there were teams that were comprised of team athletes that trained to be on teams year round for the game season for years, and those were the 2 events that they did best in. And obviously there were other things that you needed to do on those workouts, to do well, but you could capitalize on being good at the worm. If you just look at the final heat of the women's, Ariel Owen's team came off of the wall balls and toes bar first, and 5 teams passed them on the lunge. Like the worm lunge was critical in that event. And in this one, we'll see how it plays out, but on paper, I'm like 30 wall facing, 40 strict. If you have 2 athletes that are good at handstand push-ups, like you're winning this workout, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Overall, I think there's going to be a lot of close races. I think it's going to be really fun. I think that as far as Amanda's concerned, both the women's division and the co-ed division are likely to come down to a lot of those close races, a lot of close points. And at the end of the day, I mean, look, Amanda, we're expecting you to be on both podiums. So.
All right. Same here.
Hey, man, I got a question. Are you a dog person?
Me?
Yeah.
A dog person?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love dogs.
I just thought about it because I saw who the sponsor for this is.
Wild South. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it's presented by Canine Revolution Dog Training. I always find it interesting when people throw events and they find like local like companies or something like that to kind of do stuff. But I was thinking, I'm a huge person. Like when I'm back home, there's a no-kill shelter. I walk dogs and stuff like that. And then my ex-girlfriend, she used to work at Petco, and they used to have like those adoption events.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be cool if like a competition like that Sunday or that weekend had like invited like a dog adoption company out there, or like the Humane Society out to a competition? And I don't know, especially if they're like friendly dogs or whatever.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Patrick.
Okay, but don't you think that's a great idea?
That actually, I think, would be a really great idea.
Yeah, I mean, because the community loves dogs, and if you combine that, say you have some senior dogs, even fostering, like you just bring. Because I remember, like my ex would always say, like they would do. She would never go to a Petco whenever they had adoption days because she knows she would adopt a cat, a dog, or something.
All of them.
But I don't know. I know this off topic, Brian, but that's just
I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, and I think that'd be just really cool to kind of throw something like that. And I don't know. I mean, I think the next time I talk to like an event organizer, maybe have something like that where they could bring like 5 dogs and they could sign up either to be fosters or something like that. I think that's I don't know. I'm just thinking like that. I don't know. Wanted to get your thoughts on that.
That'd be sick. I'd love it.
Or even hell, you could do that. Like you said, you could do that at your affiliate. Like, one of your Saturday classes or whatever, one of your bigger classes, just saying, reach out to the local shelter. Like, hey, can you bring like 3 dogs over? And, and I don't know. And if anything, it gets more information out there about that shelter or whatever. And maybe
you're giving me ideas, PC.
I'm the idea guy. I'm the idea guy.
All right. I'll let you know when it happens.
Yeah. Please.
When are you?
I would love to see that.
When are you heading out to Charleston?
I'm not. I'm staying in Germany. I'm just kidding.
Thursday morning, we're leaving.
Perfect. I'm also flying on Thursday. I'll get in kind of mid-afternoon, get settled there, go do some testing. But is it Pat's coming with?
He is, and it's actually his birthday on Thursday.
Oh shit.
Well, I actually I invited a couple people from the area out to dinner on Thursday, and they turned me down. So I'm looking for a
I was just
Thursday
about to
dinner
ask
date.
if you wanted to go to dinner with us, Brian.
Oh,
Okay, well, those people know who they are, and they're out. You guys are in. We'll celebrate Pat's
yeah.
birthday.
Yeah, perfect.
Brian third wheeling. He loves third wheeling.
Well, Griffin will be with us too, so
That's even better.
we can talk trash about the 245, 175 clean and jerk.
Don't show him this.
He's gonna be cursing PC's names.
He doesn't have to curse me. The guy's bigger than me. It's like, yeah, I'm an old man. You can't.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, Amanda, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us today. Excited to see you this weekend. Excited to see you compete.
Thank you.
Hopefully, some of you guys will be able to tune in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be live streaming majority of the pro division heats on B.Friendly Fitness YouTube channel. So look for those there. Fittest of the Coast will be promoting them, and maybe some of the athletes will as well. So
yeah.
we'll
Thanks
do
for
our best
having me, guys.
to tell some stories about some awesome athletes and see if Amanda can defend her title on the individual women's side.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a good afternoon, Amanda.
Thanks, you too. Bye, guys.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye. Okay. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, she's someone I figured, man, I wish we would have brought her on just to kind of just talk. She's just a cool person. You know, I talk to like a lot of people I know are like one of our good friends, Raphael, who she usually hires out to like shoot pictures of her, and he just has nothing but great things to say about her. And she's a really good ambassador for the sport of grid. Obviously, I pulled it up earlier. She was the MVP. They won a title. It's just really cool, and she's thriving and having fun. And she's professional in a way that most people don't think. I mean, they think professional, they think games athlete, and she's built quite a career, and she's very she's not jaded by that at all. Yeah, she's a chill chick, says Ortega. Hey, Ortega's going to be there? Oh, that's not too far from you, is it, Jo? Yeah, it's not far from him at all, because I don't know, he's been all over the place too. But yeah, I'm just looking at that field. 2-hour drive. Looking at that field, it's pretty. It's not a bad field at all. I mean, I think it's actually better than last year's. In terms of the women on the women's side as well. I mean, sorry, that's teams. Let me go back to individuals, but Emma Harving is like it's funny because you talk about that first event, it's kind of running, and I look at the first 5 women you were talking about, like the first 6 women: Amanda, Emma, McKenna, Allison, Madeline Helms, and Chloe. They're not known as runners, those particular athletes. But you go further down, and it's like so it may not necessarily be at the top of the leaderboard to start off with, but it should be fun. And I'm really interested to see like some of these younger athletes like Haley and Emily Meyer, how they do. I mean, Emily Meyer's competed at Crash a few times. She was a games athlete. Haley Rolfe was actually podium as a teen athlete at the games. So, they're just seeing where they're at this point in their career, both as college students too. So.
No, I think this. We didn't really look at the men's field. Let's look at the men's.
No,
field.
I was going to bring that up real quick. I know we said it was going to be a short show, but every time we say it's going to be a short show, it never is. So here's the men's. Let me bring up the men's. Boom.
And keep in mind that some of these athletes we have more information on them than others. Ben Sexton filters to the top here. He was 3rd last year at Fittest of the Coast. He also did Crash Cruise, played a decent showing there, just missing the top 10. Brandon Smith, he won the RX division of Wadapalooza 2 years ago, I believe. He just missed the podium at Desert City. He had a top 10 at Metcon Rush. Did Crash Crucible and Beach Ball 2 years ago, so he gets around a bit on the competition circuit. Luke Burns, I was surprised how high he showed up in the rankings. But I think that some of the guys lower down here, like Travis is still pretty young. Riley does a lot of team stuff. Jordan did teams last year as well. So I think that Luke just kind of, again, making the rounds, Fittest experience, Metcon Rush the last 2 years, Crash Crucible. He's just getting a few more data points. So excited to see how he does. Troy Clay was 6th in this competition last year and also did Beach Brawl. That's the extent of the competition experience outside of the game season we have for him. But I think, again, there's like a little bit of depth in this field. And Quinn Robinson.
A John Paul Hethcock sighting?
Man, I haven't seen that name
since 2019. Mac.
Yes, seriously.
Remember when he upset everyone? I mean, it was so funny because we talked about that was one of the first events you worked outside of CrossFit. And I remember I was there. I was supposed to judge, but I ended up not judging. It was some stuff going on, but I didn't get picked to judge. So instead, I went there as a photographer for Barbell Spin, and it was 2019, and it was a really cool. It was in that armory there in Washington, and I remember seeing you, but I never talked to you
before our friendship began. There are some guys down here lower on the list that Quinn Robinson shows up very low on this list, and I think I was mistaken earlier. I think he did get 2nd last year. Tristan Meredith, who's on the Wild team with Amanda, is listed to be in this field. You mentioned John Zane Parisi.
Yeah,
Zane of WZA. Yeah. Logan Brown, he's a buddy of mine.
Brendan Willis.
Man, I think he's in the team's competition as well, the male maybe. Frank Minervini, who was on that team with Robert Yates that impressed in Wadapalooza. Caden Myers is way down on this list. And also Zach Ramirez, who has competed here before and a lot of times competes at the Crash events. But Caden Myers might actually win this thing. He is getting so good.
Yeah. I remember what was it Fittest of South Carolina that you were telling me about him? I'm trying to remember what event. I remember you were telling me you were just heaping his praises about this kid, and yeah. But what event was it? Oh, it was called Crucible.
No, he's coming along. I was just thinking about some of the events that they have, and I think he's going to do really well. I mean, we were talking about that running snatch rope climb event. Like, he should do well on that. The weight's not too high. Quinn Robinson, what's up, Wes? Quinn Robinson is going to be in the mix again, I think. But he's good at, like, Caden's just good. He's coming up. I think if he doesn't podium, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, you heard it here.
The squat cleans, the 5 squat cleans at 315 is my biggest concern for him relative to this field. Everything else, I think he's really set up to do well on.
Yeah, with that robust 15 field rating, and you're predicting him as podium. Take that, Apollo.
Well, Apollo is a constant work in progress. The thing that I love about it is that it's ever evolving and ever changing, and like, you know, we will look, like Barkley and I will often have conversations where we look at something like that and we ask ourselves, like, okay, Caden's better than that. Is it just that we don't have enough data points on him? Are we not really? Is there reason that we're not counting his data points good enough? And a lot of times it's just a matter of needing more competition. He's still super young, so some of his competition in the last 2 years, maybe with the teenage divisions or college divisions or stuff that wouldn't register on here. And I think that he's actually being pretty smart in terms of getting competitions under his belt, but not overdoing it. So even though he's kind of at the bottom on the ratings, I expect him to be towards the top of the leaderboard once the individual competition wraps up. A lot of good athletes in the field. This competition is only growing. It's a huge online qualifier. There's a ton of divisions. I haven't gotten the total athlete count, but when we get hit up for the stream on Friday, we'll do that. Yeah, Caden and Luke will both struggle with a heavy clean event, which could shake up their weekend. Yep, I completely agree.
Wes is going to be there, Wes?
Should have invited Wes on the show to do some athlete breakdowns. I think he knows the athletes up and down the Atlantic
Coast. He really
does.
The coast and Tennessee. He's very familiar with some of those athletes, and just that area, the southern area. So you could be our southern correspondent.
There are some people in this field I've heard of, which is always fun too. I wonder if any of them will do something cool. But
Dr. P, just know the dudes.
sweet. Well, Wes, thank you for the insights there. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun week. We'll have like I said, all the streams up on B.Friendly Fitness. So take a look there. There's a few times that the pros are competing at kind of at the same time. So it might be like a coverage of a women's event 3 feeding straight into men's event 2 or the other way around. But we'll capture as much of it as we can for you guys.
Yeah.
I think that's it for today. Mostly just wanted to talk about Fittest to the Coast, catch up with Amanda. You got anything else, PC?
No. Again, looking forward to watching it. Especially like you mentioned earlier, it's like one of the first competitions that you were kind of streaming. So, you've learned, this will almost be like a 1 year anniversary it is a 1 year anniversary for doing this. So it's always cool to kind of put that side by side and kind of watch this because, when you do it this year, it'll be really cool. And I think people that tune in that are watching friends and family compete, they're going to be pleasantly surprised. And I hope they really enjoy it. And I hope that people, get to watch some fitness this weekend. Like I said, we've come off a big weekend this past weekend with TFX, and before that, Wadapalooza. I mean, just a lot of competitions. We're kind of going into that season right now where things are going to kind of die down because the Open's going to be coming. So this will be probably one of the last chances we get to see athletes competing in live competitions before the Open starts, and maybe a little bit after. I think we're get to really enjoy all that. So I can't wait till next week, so where we can preview this or recap this and recap Pixel as well, because we didn't do a preview show on Pixel, but the recap will be more than enough. Unfortunately, there'll be a lot of good athletes, but there's no broadcast, so we'll just that's why we're not really kind of putting too much attention on it right now. But if you do have a chance, go to the Pixel. What's it? Pixel Throwdown?
I think it's Showdown.
Pixel Showdown. Yeah, go to Pixel Showdown and you'll see the whole list. It's basically all the Pixel athletes. Roman's competing, probably the first time he's competed since the games, or at least he's scheduled to compete. We'll see if he does or not. We'll see.
I would love it if he does, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. But either way, I mean, he's obligated to be there, I think, in one way or the other. But had a pretty cool lineup. But thanks for everyone for tuning in. That's about it. Make sure you use friend 20 at checkout for 20% off your HDR products. Carl, those guys are doing amazing things out there. It's all about health and wellness for them, and we totally agree with that. We need to get Carl on the show like soon, just to kind of talk about. I know he's done some things, but maybe get him on and just talk. I mean, that guy does travel around a lot. He's one of the few, I guess, sponsors or businesses that kind of puts his money where his mouth is, in terms of like not only the competitions he's going to set up and promote, he's also competing in. And I think that's just really cool. You don't see that for many people. I mean, you're not seeing, the president of Reebok or the CEO of Reebok, showing up and doing the actual competition. And Carl has fun, and I think that's what's so business different from their company compared to others, that they have that connection, and they're us. So
yeah, I mean, he's constantly hitting us up saying, hey, where are you going to be in the spring? Where are you guys going to be in the fall? Mm-hmm. And it's always fun to see him on the road, and we appreciate his support as always.
Yeah. And we appreciate everyone else's support here. So, all right. That's all I got. I'm sure that's all Brian has as well. And that means I need to get some sleep tonight. But with that being said, everyone be nice to each other, and remember to always be friendly, our friends.